Good morning, everybody. Hey, this is Brent at Side by Side Fury, and I just want to take a couple minutes this morning and show you guys that are interested in the Segway. We're working on a UT10 Crew P, which is their premium model. All the UT10s are pretty much the same. As far as the belt drive, I'm going to show you guys how to remove the cover, remove the brace, the tools that are needed. Just little things that I found as I was doing it. The toolkit that comes in it doesn't really have the tools that I would say to do it. You need an 8mm to take off the bracket. You need a 30. I would prefer a 30. I would prefer using a 30mm or a 30 Torx. Yeah, my gun's a little weak this morning. The brace is probably the biggest thing in the way, but obviously that's a structural thing, so it probably needs to be put back on, torqued accordingly, make sure it's all good. I like using a 30 Torx, but you could use a 10. They are 10 heads, but they're pretty close to like what you see on a Can-Am. They come out pretty easy. I've already taken this off once this morning. I wanted to look inside. Pretty heavy duty cover. You probably won't ever have to change a belt. Your technician or whoever does your service work would probably change your belt for you. I would suggest probably doing that, I don't know, maybe 500,000 miles. I'm not sure what anybody tells you is good or not good. Depends on what you're doing with it. If you're out hauling hay every day, you probably will go years without ever changing a belt. But that occasional time when you get a little rowdy and you go to Moab and you decide that you're gonna go crawl Hell's Revenge or something, and you might just burn up a belt. But really nice heavy duty cover. I mean, it's pretty stout compared to some flimsy stuff out there. We've got a actual factory Segway secondary tool. Please put some grease on it. Anti-seize, something. Don't ever put that thing in dry the first time. You will regret it. Looks like a great clutch setup. Clutch is actually made by what was I reading on here? I'm getting to know these things pretty good, but CV Tech LBC out of Canada. It looks like a pretty rugged clutch. So just take that screw and put it all in, and that will press that sheave on in that you can get enough room to get that belt off. That's all the way in. Kind of tight with your fingers, but easy actually. And clutch is made in Canada, and the factory OEM belt is made in the USA by CV Tech, so it'll probably be a very long lasting and durable belt. But there you go, guys. That's how you take your belt off. Obviously the installation is just in reverse order, but I would say when you put it all back together, make really sure that you've got that belt in. In fact, I'm going to put this back on because I'm going to show something that I make sure people do all the time. This isn't a have to, but it sure makes life a little easier when you're getting into it. Take your screw out. And run this secondary. And it doesn't matter whether you got a Polaris or you got a Can-Am. Happens all the time on any CVT. But take this out and spin that thing, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Get that belt worked up. That'll save you a lot of headache from when you put it all back together and then you give it gas and then it Can't figure out why it's not jumping until you rev that thing up and then it spins the belt. But everything looks pretty good. Obviously brand new. You put this all back in here, make sure that you get all that lined up, make sure everything gets out of the way. You know, 'cause a lot of guys will be like, oh my gosh, you got to torque bolts, you got to do this, you got to do that. These little 6mm bolts are probably, they're probably not much more than, I don't know, 12 pounds maybe of torque. So, you know, that's kind of your discretion, either nice and snug or get your torque wrench out and torque it. I don't want to tell anybody that you can't torque it, but it's kind of one of those things that everybody has their own personal preference. I didn't look up the torque specs on this brace. I would bet money that it's probably 45 pounds. You can always look up torque specs for a 10mm 125 bolt. Definitely make sure that that is nice and tight. I'm not sure what structural it has to do with it, but I would definitely make sure that's nice and snug so it doesn't come off or cause any problems. But that's your Segway replacing your belt. As simple as it is. It's not a struggle, but thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you learned something.